What is up, homies? So we're back for the bossing week of August 18th. And we'll be talking about some of the characters progressions I've had in the last week. My arc is no longer going to be in the series because it is done, at least for now, until I decide to push it past Enlomian. But we're going to start with my Pathfinder, which is also done and won't be in the series starting next week. So my Pathfinder is currently 16k stat unbuffed. With Maple Warrior, it's about 16.7k stat. In terms of the gear, I basically finished the gear. I do want to work on the Arcane Force a bit, but that's a different story. Everything is 17 stars and should be 2-line. 17 stars were finished during 5, 10, 15, and I just fixed a little bit of my potentials. And basically with my Pathfinder, I can clear up to Enlomian pretty comfortably. If you watched the video I've uploaded this past week, I finished all the bosses in roughly 35 minutes, and leveling to 220 helped greatly because of the 10 levels above Lotus and Damien, which gives me 20% FD. For now, this is pretty much all my Pathfinder is going to be. I do plan to take it to Hard Lucid through a friend's run. If a weapon drops at any time, I may or may not switch to Bowmaster. I think if the weapon does drop, we'll see what happens from there. I did do a run after the weekly reset, so I have a pair of gloves now, which I do not plan to work on. But until then, you'll see some Pathfinder bossing weekly being uploaded. The next character is my Hoyoung. So in terms of the Hoyoung's progression, I haven't leveled it at all. It's already been 220, but what I did was I was doing limit testing without any buffs, and I was able to clear Lotus just fine. So I did Lotus and Damien this past week, but it's a bit rough around the edges. Currently 13.5k stat without Maple Warrior, 14.2k stat with Maple Warrior. Here's the gear. I still need to work on leveling my Latchland symbol, which I'll work on slowly. Most of the gear still has some work to do because I'm missing quite a few stars. I feel like once I finish at least doing 16 stars to everything, it should be much more comfortable run. Until then, I'm still going to try to do Lotus and Damien. My off burst isn't that good, mostly because I'm still getting used to bossing as a Hoyoung, but hopefully that improves over time. So doing up to Lotus and Damien on this character takes me roughly 45 minutes or so. I think I should be able to shorten it by a few minutes once I get used to bursting in Damien, because that took way too long. I think it took me about 15 minutes, which just meant that I was not used to it at all. So hopefully I can finish upgrades on my Hoyoung with the next Star Force event. Next is my Buccaneer, which is already 220. It is also about 13.2k stat. Unbuffed and with Maple Warrior, 13.7, almost 13.8k stat. In terms of the gear, I still don't have Bullock's gear done yet. I just got the ring fairly recently, so I started that and then I potted it for 2-line stat unique. I'm still waiting on trying to get a pair of earrings. Until then, I only plan to use the Goldlux ring. I think I may or may not attempt at least Lotus. I'm not sure how confident I will be, but I'll give it a try if I can at least fix my emblem, I believe. Nodes are about the same. I did put more points into my lightning form, so I'd have FD for much longer. I just used the rest of my EXP nodes from my Terra burn. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just trying to push this to Lotus and Damon now. Next character is my Dark Knight. So for my Dark Knight, my Dark Knight is currently missing a bunch of levels. I usually like to be level 220 before I start doing Lotus and Damien. Currently level 211, just need 9 more levels. Currently 10.4k stat, buffed with Maple Warrior, puts me at 10.9k. Bunch of the gear still needs work. 12 stars, 2 line, 12 stars, 2 line, event rings, cup, 16-star belt, 16-star weapon, 12-star epics. I actually got a CD hat. I forgot if I mentioned it this past week or not, but I tiered up my hat to legendary so I could have the CD line so I could use my spear a little more often. But because I ended up with 1 second and 2 line stat, I decided to settle. It's a really rough settle. Open to suggestions if anyone thinks like I should still try to roll for 2 second CD. Until then, just settling with this. Epics, 2 line stat 16, 2 line stat 16, crit damage, 12 stars, 16. Everything else is pretty standard for what I would like to try to do on the bossing mule. Once I hit 220, I can add in more node slots, and I'm still going to try to fix up some of the pots to be 2-line uniques. Until then, I would try to just wait till I get a few more levels. I put more of my points into Spear of Darkness. I actually had a lot of node shards, which is why I was able to level this up. And yeah, still does up to Catchy pretty comfortably. It takes me about half an hour. Should be a little faster because I'm still getting used to trying to redo my bindings so that I can burst more properly, but it tends to mess me up because I eventually just like one tap cycle instead of using the full burst, which happened in the last video. So you'll see me mess up doing my Dark Knight burst. So for the Shadower, I have tried to do some bossing with the Shadower. I can do up to Catchy as it is now. Under 2 rings, event rings, pink bean cup. Still working on superior gear. I just got enough Golux coins to buy 4 set, but I still want to level or star my belt and earrings to 16 for transfer before I work on those. And then same weapon, 12 pendants, 16 hat. This is done. This needs work still. Still need to pot up my top and fix my pants. Things are still missing. So I still can do up to a Catchy. It's a bit long though because I'm not used to bossing on Shadower. Takes me, I think, 45 minutes to finish all the bosses up to Catchy. So it's a bit rough right now. Need to learn how to boss on it properly, but I'm going to talk to a friend about that. And it is 8.2k stat at the moment. So that's pretty much it for the main boss and mules. I do have my Ice Lightning and Marksman in the work. They do have 4 set Absolab each and some CRAs, but I have to get the shoulder piece by doing Dark World Tree. Once I finish that and finish some of the stars and pots, at least to Epic, I'll start doing CRAs on these two, but they are still work in progress until then. Anyway, that's it for this week's update. Catch you all next week.